guys, what's going on? It's Ultimus, and today I want to talk about the Class Order Hall armor sets. Now, these were released about 2 days ago now or so via WoWhead that we had access to them. Not all of the sets are posted yet, but there's enough of them there for me to, I feel like we have enough to talk about, show, and then go over how you obtain them and my thoughts on them. Obviously, it's not the biggest chunk of content when it comes to Legion, but it's something that I personally really care about and like. I'm a huge sucker, again, I've said this before, but for armor sets and different stuff like that, especially things like this, because they're fairly unique, and obviously for obvious reasons. If you're familiar with what we're going over, you'll know why I say fairly. But first we'll go over how you obtain them. They are, of course, unique to each specific class and their class holes, and I'm glad to see that what we're looking at here for them is not just going to be something that you can purchase all at once. What they're basically going to be is each of these class order hall sets is going to be a little bit different and recolored version of the challenge mode sets from Mystic Pandaria. If you'll remember correctly, or if maybe you weren't around for Mystic Pandaria and you need a little bit of catching up, the challenge mode rewards from Mystic Pandaria were armor sets. And so what we got here for the class order halls, and I'm having a hard time not getting tongue twisted there on that one, is basically, again, reskinned and recolored versions of those. They're not as elaborate. The colors, again, are different, and so we're going to get into that a little bit later. But I did want to talk about how we unlock them. The example they give here on WoWhead is in the Shaman Order Hall, there is an NPC who sells the 8 pieces, or sells the 8-piece set, I should say. All of these items cost 1,000 Order Hall resources. So however hard or easy it is to get 1,000 Order Hall resources, I don't know yet. I cannot touch the alpha at all. I'm not invited. Feels bad, man. But basically what we got here, well, is there's a list that goes over how we unlock each piece. So complete the final storyline of the 2 Broken Isle leveling zones. Get your helm for your shoulders. You complete the quest Arkendor. If I'm reading that correctly, it's hard to read for whatever reason. Apparently my glasses are really, really dirty. Gift of the Ancient Magi in Suramar. Chest you unlock via completing Chapter 4 of the Order Hall campaign. Wrist, complete Chapter 3 of the Order Hall campaign. Hands, complete the quest opening the Archway in Suramar. Belt, earn 50,000 artifact power. Legs, reach honored status with at least 3 Broken Isle reputations. Feet, defeat the final boss of every Legion dungeon on any difficulty. So, my thoughts initially on this are this, at least for how we unlock them. Personally, I like it. I really do. Just the sole reason, like, it's a fun reward for people, at least people like me, who care about this kind of stuff when it comes to armors and skins and stuff like that, is it gives you a reason to go out and explore the world, to do stuff and do different types of content. So you have a mix of PvE, again, just acquiring artifact power as you play through your character, completing specific quests or zones, see a little bit of incentive to grind some reputations, which is something that we really didn't see in Warlords of Draenor. Like, there really wasn't a whole lot of reason to grind reputations. I mean, yeah, there was, the few that we had, and there was the mounts and stuff like that, but it just wasn't, like, all that big of a deal. And so this time around, I would imagine, of course, we'll get mounts as well. Tabards, pieces of gear, probably the usual stuff, but then also being able to unlock the class hall armor sets and things like that. Again, so there's that, and then of course defeat the final boss of every Legion dungeon on any difficulty. So again, it's nothing that's really hard, but it's a good time sink, I think. I can't imagine this will take people too long to do either, but again, it's one of those things where I think seeing stuff like this is encouraging, just because it's like, okay, we're already seeing some content, like some stuff where I can see myself spending time doing this, like when I'm not doing arenas or things like that, or capping, points on alts or stuff like that. Like I'm having a reason to do PvE, or I'm having a reason to keep doing those quests or keep up with those reputations. So I mean, this I can see not taking a whole lot of time for anybody who's willing to dedicate the time to doing it. You could take, again, all expansion to this if you want, if you really want to take your time on it, or you could probably bang this all out in maybe a couple months or so. Just guesswork. Obviously, I don't have any specific numbers for it. But it is kind of cool just to see the now having this stuff in front of me, at least like knowing where I can be able to sink some time into and stuff like that. Again, nothing challenging, but just an easy good time sink, which I do enjoy. I like having some content around like this. Not all the content, obviously, but some I think is good. Now let's go ahead and talk about the armor sets themselves. Now we're going to take a look here at the Druid first. Let me see if I could actually shrink down my camera just a little bit so that we're not covering up all of the armor. Just 1 second. That's a little bit better. So on the left-hand side of the screen, threw me off for a second. I was like saying left, and then I saw my hand move to my right, and never mind. Over here, we have the challenge mode armor set from Mist of Pandaria. You've seen a lot of druids running around with this bad boy. It's a really cool looking set, I think. But then, of course, we have over here the Order Hall armor set. Now, again, very similar chest work, gloves, again, the belt and everything like that. Helm and shoulders are really where things don't get quite as elaborate, which that really like brings a set together if you really think about it, because that's like the top, the shoulders. It's at the crown. That's at like where you first see typically. And so that's where most people's eyes get caught, and that's where, you know, the eyes are drawn to, the shoulders and the helm. And so we're seeing enough differences there to set it apart, and just the recolor. Now, I will say this. At first, I was a bit disgruntled, and my first impression was, whatever, it's just a reskin. And then I realized, though, well, this is actually better, I think, than just having the plate set, the mail set, the leather set, the cloth set, and then every class gets a recolored version of that plate set, mail set, leather set, or cloth set, right? You guys feel where I'm going with this? So at least there is some sense of uniqueness to where you look at this set and you think, and you know that's the druid set, or, you know, this is the warrior set, this is the paladin set. Whether or not you like the fact that they, you know, basically built it off of the challenge mode set and then dull it down a little bit, hate that or love that, I feel like a little bit of credit is due Blizzard in this regard, if that at least we didn't get just the generic plate set, the generic mail set, generic leather, generic cloth, which they could have very easily done. And personally, it doesn't bother me because these two sets are still so different in color and in scheme. Just with, again, the woodwork coming off the shoulders and the bits there on the head, it's different enough to me to where anybody wearing the, you know, MoP challenge mode, you know, armor sets or transmog is still going to stand out and be unique enough. Like, I as someone who did MoP challenge modes and even, you know, Warlords or Draenor challenge modes, I'm just not offended by this. I'm not bothered by it. Like, my armor as a challenge mode completion, you know, warrior from Mist of Pandaria is going to be different enough from the class Order Hall warrior sets that I'm not going to be bothered by it. It's just, these are the kind of things that aren't really going to get me worked up about it. Now, whether or not I like the set, that's either here nor there, but that's, you know, another thing for another time. But I do think it's pretty nifty. And then we have a look at the Hunter set. Helmet is still very similar. No glowy eyes, at least not on this one. There might be actually some glowy eyes like in the actual animation of it all, but so far there's none. And then, of course, we have the missing wolf head. It's a wolf? It's a wolf. We're going to go with wolf. It looks like a wolf. It doesn't look like a bear. It's a wolf. But yeah, so you got the missing wolf head over on this side, but everything else is pretty similar. Just obviously different color schemes. You still have the headpiece there on the chest, the headpieces there on the gloves, and of course the boots as well, furry boots. The boots with fur. Sorry, couldn't resist. But yeah, so again, different enough to stand out. Different color, like completely different color scheme. It's not even anywhere similar, and missing the wolf bit there on the side. So I think it stands out enough. So there's the Hunter set. The preset. Preset probably looks the most similar, I'm not going to lie, other than the recolor. Why this set looks so similar compared to some of the other sets looking so very, very different, I don't know. I don't actually have an answer for you. I don't mind it, though. I think the preset from the challenge mode sets from MoP anyways was one of my least favorite as it was. It was just kind of weird to me. The shoulders and the head was just weird to me. Maybe it's because I wasn't a big fan of like the whole Claxy architecture as it was anyways. But either way, there's that. You get a lot more bright yellows, and we get some of those purples going on there. So it stands out a lot more vibrantly than the challenge mode set. So, which is interesting call on my part just because like I'm thinking you'd almost expect the challenge mode set to be a little brighter, but either way, in this particular case, that's not the case. I'll be curious to see if there's any animation differences on this one as opposed to the challenge mode set. But there's the priest set, and then here's the warrior set. Again, see, so as someone who actually has this set, I have the Mr. Pandaria warrior challenge mode playset. This is nifty looking, and I like the color scheme a lot, but it looks so different to me. Like, different enough that I'm not bothered by it. Like, again, the horns are smaller, obviously, so my crown is bigger, therefore proving my superiority. I'm kidding. I'm really not that douchey, I promise. And, and then there's no, spikes there on the side. They're on the one side. And again, so you're just having the very plain, very dull looking color scheme. And I say dull, not boring in the sense of I hate it, but it's just dull compared to the vibrant browns and reds over here. But that's still a set I would wear. Like, I like it enough to wear it, but I still have my Mr. Pandaria challenge mode. And again, I'm not offended or bothered by this. I don't feel like I was robbed or ripped off like, oh, I put in work to do challenge modes in Mr. Pandaria, and now Blizzard's just giving my set to anybody who puts in time just for playing the game. Like, they're just different enough to me that I just can't be bothered to be offended by it. It's just not that big of a deal. So that being said, I think it's kind of cool, and I like that they're adding rewards like this to the class order halls. We're not just spending time there for the sake of the follower missions and things like that, and upgrading our weapons and all that stuff like that. Like, I like that there's stuff like this attached to it, so there's more than just, okay, go reskin my artifact weapon, do some quests, all that stuff, yada yada yada. There's a little more reason to do all that, so pretty cool. And then I believe last but not least, let me see here. Yeah, last but not least, the paladin set. Obvious differences on this one. Again, no wings, which the wings were probably the coolest part about this set, I'm not gonna lie. So definitely a big enough difference, and the colors are night and day. Like, the colors here almost remind me of Paladin Tier 2, the Judgment set. But again, you're looking at two completely different sets here. Like, the shoulders are similar enough. I can't imagine these are going to be as bright and glowy. At least in this particular picture, doesn't look like there's a whole lot of animation going on with these gemstones. There's no wings. Belt's still the same. Again, everything else looks pretty much the same except for colors. The Paladin Challenge mode set, though, for Mr. Pandaria was just utterly gorgeous, too. It was just utterly beautiful. I think it was one of the better-looking sets out of that entire, sets of armor. I don't know why that was so hard to say. But, again, this one, just so different in color. The best part of it being the wings being gone. I don't see it being a problem, and I think it's kind of cool. Almost makes me think of, like, just a bumblebee, though. Like, the set over here just looks like a bumblebee. It's a little off and weird to me just because of that, but I'd wear it on my paladin. I'd let my paladin wear that armor. I think it looks cool. So all in all, honestly, I'm really not too bothered by it. I'm not offended. I don't feel like I was ripped off, cheated, or shafted in any way, shape, or form. My challenge mode set looks uniquely different enough. I still have the challenge mode weapons. Being able to pay a sum of gold to unlock those challenge mode weapons, and we haven't really heard anything about unlocking challenge mode armor either, being account-wide if you've completed on a character. I'm not too sure about that, but the weapons I am, because I've got gold, I want to throw out stuff, and it'd be cool to unlock those weapons on some of my other characters since I did it on my warrior, but I just can't be bothered to go back and do it again on other characters. I just can't be bothered for it. But again, so that stuff is still going to only be accessible by challenge mode players if it goes that far. And so, again, having these sets set up for the order hall, I think is cool. Just to kind of recap all the final thoughts on it, because again, it gives me personally a reason to go out and do more than just log in, do my arenas for the week, do a couple BGs, and okay, that's it. It gives me a reason to be like, oh sweet, I want to make time to PvE this week because I want to get that reputation grinding, or I want to get those dungeons in. So giving me a reason to do more than just the content that I'm normally drawn to, I like. Because I'm experiencing the game more, and I'm meeting new people, and I'm making new friends, and I am getting the most out of the game that is possible. And that's ultimately what I'm looking for. I'm looking to get the most out of the game possible. I already feel like I get my $15 a month's worth just for how much fun I have PvPing. But again, the more reason and incentive I have to go out into the world and do more things, the better. And to me, at least personally, this is one of those things this is the kind of stuff that will make me go out and grind reputations, go out and do dungeons. That'll make sure I'm keeping up with my quests and things like that. So that's just me. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comment section below what you think, what your thoughts are. If you are a challenge mode player, do you feel kind of ripped off or slighted that these are just recolored skins? Again, personally, I feel like they're just different enough in the instances that make these sets stand out, that it's not too big of a deal. But let me know what you think in the comment section. I'd love to hear from you guys. And also Corgis. Lots of Corgis coming. It's like the internet jumped on the Corgi bandwagon, and it's wonderful. I can't wait. I can't wait. But anyways, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about armor sets. Tomorrow's video will be all about Corgis. I'm kidding, it won't be. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As stated before, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you did, looking forward to hearing what you guys think about all of this. But as always, I'll catch you next time.